Okay, it is 5:31 for the special meeting, April 24th, 2025, of the C.I.C. Ms. Klein, a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Unger.
Here.
Miss Ulrich.
Here.
Mr. Wallert.
Here.
Mr. Miller. Mr. McElravy's excused. I'm here.
Okay, and is there a motion to approve the agenda? And a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
None.
All right, Ms. Klein?
Mr. Unger.
Yes.
Miss Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Wallert.
Yes.
Mr. Miller. I vote yes.
All right, that is 5-0. All right, the first item is new business, approval of development agreement for Sales Station 26, which I understand has been fast-moving. So, Mr. Miller, I don't know if you have an update for us or where we're at. I see a couple copies of things here, so.
I gave you an updated copy of the development agreement as we have worked on that. So the one that was posted to the packet, we continued discussions with our legal counsel and the buyer's legal counsel. And so a couple of items that are highlighted in the copy before you. They are in green text for the addition, and I'll highlight that for you. In the first section is 4.5. In the successor obligation, section 4.5. The original packet said, notwithstanding the foregoing, developer may, without triggering the payment obligation of section 4.4 above, assign its interest in this agreement to a successor in interest or entity under common ownership as developer during the deferred purchase period, which is described in the agreement, provided that the successor shall assume all obligations, benefits of this agreement, and that the assignment shall only be effective upon receipt of written consent from the C.I.C., which approval shall not be unreasonably withheld. So what we've added in this section is this provision that our law director has provided to us. Notwithstanding this provision, again, of the successor obligation, the quitclaim deed shall be subject to a restriction such that for a period of 1 year, property cannot be transferred to any township employee or any entity in which the township employee has an ownership interest. And I think that's been a discussion throughout of the sale of Station 26 as we have been marketing that. We've had interests from a variety of individuals. We have sought counsel from our law director as well as an opinion from the Attorney General. And so there is a 1-year provision that prohibits an employee or former employee or an immediate family member from having a direct ownership. And so we felt like this was something that, again, would provide a layer of protection to the township and the C.I.C., as well as any potential employee or former employee, and that would allow that to just be made abundantly clear in this development agreement. So there was one other item that was added to what was in the packet, and that is section 5.9. And this was a request by the purchaser. So 5.9 is the environmental responsibility. States developers shall be solely responsible for conducting any environmental assessments at their own expense and remediations required by law. And then the addition in the green underlined text, it's been inserted, except as otherwise required by the contract to purchase. So I've provided you a copy of the contract to purchase.
And that's what was approved Tuesday night?
This contract, no, nothing was approved Tuesday night. It was work, the instruction Tuesday night was to work on a development agreement with the proposal that we had before us, and this was the proposal that we had before us at that time.
The original contract, it did not have any contingencies upon inspections, correct? And now we have a
Th-
contract.
This,
that
this
says-
is this contract is the original one that was submitted in February, and then it was only updated
Okay,
in, this month, in April. Okay? So the environmental section is in section 6 that allows the buyer to inspect the property for whatever purposes he wants. And this is standard boilerplate language from the Board of Realtors. It's in this contract. And just to note, if this contract was to be contemplated by us, it would be amended, there would be an addendum that would be included as the development agreement. And then there were a couple other items that, items, section 7 in the contract, additional items and conditions are instead of are not included, and that would be the development contract. And then the other box that we were going to uncheck. Just one more here. It,
should have in the contract, see addendum 1.
right, section 9, that if there was an inspection, then it would say it would be provided for there.
No, I mean, because this is part of the contract, so it should have in this purchase contract that this is addendum 1.
Correct. That would be added on there because we're
Is
marking.
that as in item 7,
Yeah,
Kathy?
item 7 would say, additional items and conditions are set forth as an addendum attached here
I
too.
thought you said you were going to make another one, so if this is addendum 1, are you just going to put everything?
That's going to be, that would be the development agreement.
Okay, that's-
On mine, it's checked as are not.
yeah, mine
That's
is
correct.
are not too, that's what I'm just saying.
Because when this contract was originally submitted to us,
Okay,
there was not a development agreement contemplated.
So, yeah, I would like to see, yes.
so that will
scratch
be
out,
changed
see-
to R?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
so-
sorry, is there music coming from somewhere?
Yeah, he's working out downstairs, we had this discussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's driving me insane sitting here. Okay. Yeah. So I guess on the first, the contingencies, was this written in for an inspection?
I didn't remember, I thought it was as is where is.
It was as is where is.
That's where I thought it was too.
And so this was actually brought up today as, this is, again, boilerplate language that's in the contract that
I know it's
says,
boilerplate, but we can counter that as is where is.
that is correct.
Okay, so I would still like to put that in there.
Where would you put that, Kathy?
Under any inspection contingencies, buyer is aware that it's for informational purposes for themselves, and we will not be,
What number is that?
well, once again, it would have to,
Number 6.
yeah.
6B.
They don't really give you lines for this, but you could write it in C and other,
Buyer may, again, once it says,
yeah.
at buyer's sole discretion expense, perform inspections of the real estate prior to the closing. Buyer's inspection of the real estate may include.
And I think 30 days is a long time.
Yeah, but part of the added value of this bid was the fact that it was, in my, as is.
So under 6C, where it says other, you would write in where is, as is?
Yes,
I don't want to make this contingent upon an inspection. There's a
Agreed.
Okay, they can do it for their information purposes, but we are not going to entertain any work and just buying it as is, where is.
right. 5.9 does say in the development agreement, it's their responsibility and remediations.
Yeah, I guess we were all on the same page that we weren't going to be involved with an inspection, so that's where I think my first initial.
Yeah,
Yours too.
and I
don't know if you-
didn't bring the last contract, I brought everything else, but.
So are you going to recommend that that's put in there? Under 6C where it says none?
Right,
And
because I think it has to release the CIC from.
you are not our Realtor, but the
No,
way you
no, I
write that
just,
is,
no,
the way you write
because I
that.
thought we all discussed that
Right.
before.
Yeah, I want a cash sale.
Yes, that's what we,
Okay, so 6C, the counter would be property, we would scratch none and say property is being sold as is, where is.
and this contract is not contingent upon an inspection. It's an inspection for informational purposes for the buyer. As if there's anything found in the inspection, we've already taken a discounted price. We're not going to entertain fixing anything.
Okay,
Is that okay?
yeah,
You okay? You okay with it?
I think we end up voting on that somehow, but,
I just remember we all discussed that. That was the legitimacy for why we wanted to
right.
take the cash.
And was there an additional, Mr. Miller, an additional part of the development agreement?
the development agreement, we had the two changes relative to 5.9 and 4.5. Those were the two. So then, what the packet that was published did not contemplate the requirement for volunteers. As we have subsequently discussed, there's a desire to include that as part of this, that the buyer would work with their tenants to secure those 2,500 hours that we had
I don't think that
agreed
can
to.
be a part of the contract upon
Yeah.
audit. Upon audit every year, that would be really hard to explain to the auditors how that
Plus, it's
was
a
converted
it's a
to cash.
contract with the tenant. It's not a contract with the buyer that's buying this property.
But it's part of the development agreement.
Is,
It would be part of the development
be part
agreement,
of the development agreement?
yes.
Not as a part of the purchase contract.
Right, I was talking about the development agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I may have said the other. It's
Because
been a
this says development agreement on it too, so. Right here, development agreement.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay. Because this is gonna be addendum 1. Yeah, in there.
Okay. So this is the contract, right? And this is the development agreement. I'm talking about the addition to the development agreement with respect to the volunteer.
That is correct.
But
That-
we can't put it in this contract.
It's a development agreement.
This is the contract to purchase, Board of Realtors, and then we have a development agreement that we've created on the side.
This, I'm trying to figure out where we,
On Article 4.1, which is purchase price, and it says 660,000, I'm thinking the purchase price is 550, and that 660 is just there to establish a value for it for taxable purposes.
I wouldn't say it's for taxable purposes, it's for the fact that he's paying 550 and then 110
If he walks
Is
at some
deferred.
point,
is a deferred purchase price. That would get us up to the 660 that was the valuation that we had.
Mr. Miller, I think there's some confusion on.
Okay.
Okay, so in response to Mr. Unger's question, the 110 is the deferred price if that property would be sold within the first 5 years, essentially to, because essentially they could look at the other offer and
sell to them.
sell it to them. Not that they would, but I would. So,
That's right.
yeah. The other confusion is about, so we have the contract, the Board of Realtors contract, but the development agreement, which had some language in about volunteer hours and then didn't, and then is now going to subsequently sharpen that language to suggest that the purchaser is going to work with a tenant to provide those volunteer hours. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, that is correct.
And that's part of this development agreement?
That is correct.
Yeah. And we've had, legal has looked over that and that, well, I think.
my understanding, legal looked at it and said that probably shouldn't be included.
No, no. Since then, it's been updated, is what Mr. Miller is trying to say. And the legal department has said, well, the way we had it worded, it couldn't be in there. It's going to be worded in a different way.
So, so that's gonna be an addition to this, on this addendum.
It will be an addition to the development agreement. So we're going to add a paragraph on volunteer service to Colerain Township.
Okay,
that suggests that the corporation Rendale will provide 2,500 hours of community service to the township
Through their tenants.
through their tenants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should assign a dollar value to that.
No, it's 2,500 hours.
Just, yeah, it would just be a good faith, it would just be good faith that they would provide that, and the sale price is, $550,001.
You're right, and then there's a mechanism for that, for the purchaser and whichever tenant is assigned with that responsibility in the township to flush those out.
Yes.
And make sure that those are there. And it's my understanding that, the future owner, if this should pass, will work that out with the township on a way to make sure they all balance.
Correct. Yeah, they would be in a regular accounting of those
Yeah.
hours.
I'm sorry, that has come up, I think, within the last 25 minutes.
okay, like I said, we still have to name this addendum 1 and add an additional paragraph to addendum 1. Because it's not included in this contract, so just want to make sure.
Okay.
It adheres to it.
Right.
If we add that to this development agreement, does that make those sort of reverse engineered employees, since there's a hourly, the $15 an hour thing is gone,
Correct. It's just 2,500 hours.
that have $0 value assigned to them? Because that would be really difficult upon audit to show that. So the sale price is $550, and this other stuff is,
And did we have a date of it's over the 5-year? What is the dates for that the 2,500 commence over?
That would be effective with the issuance of their certificate of occupancy, and it would run 5 years from that,
Oh, so, okay.
so that'd be 500 hours a
So
year
every
for,
Okay,
approximately.
for 5 years.
Correct.
Or however, if there was a big giant
They
project that
might do
came
them
up.
all in 1 year,
okay.
but there's a value added from the volunteer time to the township.
All right, are there any other, so the changes we've talked about here are the paragraph that's going to be added. I don't know. I think that we know the spirit of what it's going to say. We don't have the exact language. That we're going to add, we're going to name this addendum 1, the development agreement. Under the contract to purchase, make sure I have everything. Under 6, under contingencies, none will be removed in the language. I didn't write it down. Ms. Ulrich said that
This,
as is, yeah,
as is whereas, and this is not a contingent upon any inspection. It's for informational purposes only.
and the other change would be, where's the addendum one
Where
at?
it says, no, the addendum isn't attached, but I'd like it to say, have R and put addendum number 1.
What number is that?
It would be.
Number 7.
Number
Okay.
7. Yeah, we're going to change that
Okay.
checkbox from R naught to R.
We're just considering this development agreement as is, and that's what the purpose of this meeting is, to consider this. If you look at 3.2, that as-is language is there. So that would be,
I'd like it in the contract too, because it's under the inspection contingency, so it's, yeah, I mean, it should
well,
be.
you can direct him to
I
put
know,
it in there, but what
I
we're
know,
considering
but-
is this.
I know, but it should be in the contract too,
Right.
yeah.
I think we're considering
Yeah,
both.
this- yeah.
I think this is one now.
Yeah, this is totally different from this.
Right,
It's-
yeah,
you have to
the
be-
agenda is development agreement.
Yeah, okay, but the contract supersedes an addendum, so right now, so it should be, both should
Right.
contain the same language,
Agreed.
because you're saying two different things.
Well, yeah, correct, are you directing him to correct
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah, that's the addition
Yes.
of 6C, so that they are congruent.
Because if you take that in front of the judge, it said, well, you signed it here, but it, addendum there, but, so you're gonna have a controversy here, so that's all.
Great, so
So
that
that's
said,
the question. So specifically, you understand what is to be added to this?
Exactly.
Okay.
all right? Vote,
Well, somebody needs to make a motion.
or make a motion, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, our motion would be to counter the contract at hand. And I will motion that we will counter the contract that we have in our hands right now.
With the added language
With
that
the
we
added,
have,
that we've talked about.
and the changes that are in the development agreement.
Let me go through here just one more time to make sure everybody's on the same page. That is changing, under the contract itself, item 6C, striking none and adding, language of the as-is, and inspections are for informational purposes only. And item 7, addendum, moving R not and changing it to R. On the addendum, we have we are on the development agreement, we're calling that addendum 1. And we have the 2 pieces of green language that are added, green colored language, not green as in environmental, and the language of the volunteer hour component of it. So that is what we're considering then. We have a motion. Did we have a second?
Second.
Ms. George motion and Mr. Miller seconded then.
So I guess we-
Okay, so is there discussion?
Yes.
I just have something I would like to add. I prepared a little statement. First of all, I want to thank every business that has shown an interest in that building. Apparently, it's a very popular thing. Colerain Township is a great place to operate a business, and I appreciate every one of you that thinks you would be successful here, because you would. We're a great community. As a group, we have a duty to maximize the value of assets that are under our control. To that end, it was my preference that we would have accepted the offer that was $110,000 higher. That said, that 4-1 vote was 2 days ago on April 22nd, and now it's time to move forward with the will of the majority of the rest of the C.I.C. board. I'd like to welcome Rendale to our business community. My job now is to help make this next enterprise, or this new enterprise, successful. And that said, I have been assured by our township administrator that we are in compliance with any restrictions regarding the sale of township property to anyone that has a connection to the township, as outlined by the opinion of the Ohio Attorney General. Very specifically, that would include anyone or family member, or any employee or family member of an employee that's employed by the township now, or has been separated from the township for less than 366 days. As you recall, we had one of our people that was interested is a former township employee that has not been separated for 366 days yet, and that person withdrew their offer because he would not have been eligible to buy this until September. So in the spirit of this, I don't want to look down the road and see this transferred to any township employees, because that would certainly not be a good appearance for the township. The decision was made on Tuesday to sell to Rendell, or to pursue this development agreement. And I would ask our development director to report to this board after closing whether the real estate agent will be compensated based on the $550,000 price or the $660,000 suggested price. And I'll leave that to you to figure out, but I do intend to support this as it moves forward. We've already made the decision, and I was on the short end of that, but we need to support what's going to happen, so.
I share your concern, but listening to the residents, I think this is a new opportunity that we don't have this in Colerain Township. So we don't have a little coffee shop. We don't have what they want to bring into the township. And we've heard from some of the residents that would like this versus another car dealership or more cars. So I think this is going to be aesthetically pleasing. I think they have plans to fix this up. And I hope it brings a vibrant entity into our community that is very positive. I have high hopes for you. So that's and that's part of being in the C.I.C. We can.
You have high hopes for this enterprise.
This enterprise that's going to be happening in this building.
Not for anybody in the room, high hopes for this
yeah.
enterprise.
Are you out in TV land?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The millions that are watching,
I'm sure there's a
preparing
few.
for the NFL draft. To my colleagues, thank you so much, and to Rendale, and to all others that were interested in this property, thank you as well. And Rendale, Mr. Pagliera, am I got it right finally?
I think you did.
Okay, that's usually the kiss of death, because I finally got Morovic right and he left, so. Moravec, see, now he's back. And I look forward to their success. one of the things one of my colleagues said is about maximizing value, and I think one of the important things when you maximize value is to look at some of the abstract values that are here with a situation that's now being, I guess, desired for this. The idea of community involvement is very, very significant. It's something I can't put a dollar amount on, but we know that if we look at the research on this statistically, we know that that having these volunteers, and that's why the volunteer component was so important to me. This builds certain types of behavior in individuals, in this case, young individuals, hopefully. And what it does is we're really preparing the next generation of leadership, and it's something that I'm a firm believer in. I think it's very much lacking in our country today. And Mr. Miller and I, you and I have talked about this a number of times. I'm working diligently with Mr. Winburn to open up an urban leadership academy on North Bend Road that we'll know about by the end of the month. But this is something that I think is very important, and it's very important for Colerain. When we look at things and we talk about things economically, one of the things that hurts developing countries that is what's called a brain drain. We need reasons to keep Colerainians in Colerain so that they want to raise their family here, so that 50 years from now, somebody's coming to one of these meetings and saying, yeah, I don't want that to change because that's been farmland since I was a kid. I think that's a refreshing thing, a refreshing characteristic of Colerain. We know that this volunteer army these folks learn responsibility. They begin to own the process, and once you begin to own the process, you build leadership skills. All too often, I see things on social media and things like that about Colerain that are just completely outside the spectrum of even kind of reality. Or the number of times I've gotten blamed for things on 275, and it's not even there's a difference in federalism here and who's responsible for what. This kind of volunteer effort will strengthen the community. It brings energy. I'm around 16 to 18-year-olds all day, and they wear me out. And it's because they do have so much energy. It increases an awareness of community issues. It allows young folks to network. But you don't know it till you sit there, till you hear a high schooler say to another high schooler, "What are you doing for your service hours? I'll go with you." And that happens, believe it or not. And it helps to fill a void that we have in the community, and it's also linked to enhanced academic performance. We know that students who do more community service hours tend to do better academically. I mean, that's not for every case, but certainly if you take it holistically and look at it. This kind of volunteer army and this whole idea will also work to stimulate property values, because we know that if you do volunteer service to your community, you're more likely to vote, you're more likely to own property. These things are all connected. There's a connected value to that. And for just a plus and minus money thing, look, this number of volunteers are going to reduce. They're going to add a cost savings for different organizations. I mean, as Dan referred to, one of the initial things talked about $15 an hour, what the value of that community, what the volunteer is. Well, you know what? That's straight salary. If we were to hire employees, the all-in on that is probably much higher. And it takes. I see this as an entryway to turning Colerain into a more interactive type of place, where we have people volunteering for these kind of things. And in fact, I just got off the phone about an hour ago with Ms. Mays about something that Miami Township is doing with the Township ambassadors. Fantastic idea. And I said, hey, try to find something like this for us. So I think this is a real building block for the future. And I said to a couple people today, I don't view this as an end of a journey at all. I view it as a beginning of a journey with the folks at Rendale in making the community a better place to live. And I will add, from a practical point of view, I think I heard from one person, and I usually don't you'll hear from the vocal minority sometimes, but only one person said, "Hey, take the other bid." Or I've had an awful lot of people take the Rendale bid. Not that I can extrapolate that over the population, but it certainly means something. And the last thing, the last observation I'll make is that probably 3 or 4 CIC meetings ago, I come in, I'm looking around, I'm trying to park. I couldn't park because the parking lot was full. And I'm like, I was right up to the edge of the meeting anyway, and I'm like, I got to get in there. I think I parked in the electrical charger lot, so I don't know that really impacted anyone. And I got in here and I saw the place packed. And I thought, uh-oh, what are people mad about? Because you know what? It's real easy to pack a place when you're against something. It's difficult to pack a place when they're for something. And that showed a lot to me. And it showed that the heart is in this effort. And I don't trust anyone, as you know, so I did some back channel investigating in the principles of this in Rendale. And everything I got informally was fantastic on them. So I think we're in a good place here, and I appreciate everybody's time in this. And I know that it's been a long and arduous process, and it just shows that things don't happen quickly, and that good things take time. And I'm happy to support this.
And to that end, one of my goals, starting last April, was that we do not own vacant buildings. And I figured it would take a year to get something done with it, and here we are, a year later. So,
Ms. Klein?
I would just
Mr. Miller?
like to kind of put a footnote, respond to one thing that Mr. Unger said, and in that, yes, we are taking less than another offer that we had, but we did include in this development agreement a deferred purchase price that would be due to the township if there is a transfer of the property within a 5-year period. And I think that during that 5 years, we have the opportunity, if, again, worst case scenario, it's flipped to some other purpose that we did not originally approve. We have opportunity to, in essence, claw back that difference. And so with the greatest of expectations, this enterprise would last 5 years. If they are
I hope
contributing.
it lasts much longer than that.
Agreed, but we put a 5-year
Right.
clock on it. If it does produce for us what we all hope, then we have achieved, in essence, that value that we forwent for this 5-year period. And I think that would be a plus for the township in both ways, to them and to us.
Well, to that end, the way I read that section, it says year one from effective date, 60% would go to the C.I.C. and 40% to the developer. So if they sold it the day after closing, we would only get 60% of that 110,000.
But the successor, the language says the successor owner is still obligated for those 5 years. So that we're still in line to get up to that 110 for its appreciation until that 5-year period's up. So we ensured that we could have the greatest opportunity to get that full purchase price.
We haven't heard a word out of Maggie. What are your thoughts? Just
Well, I'm excited about the use. I think it's going to be a really cool thing to have in Colerain Township, and something that, I would look forward to going to, and I hope it becomes, a vibrant community space that everybody can use.
I think we all hope that.
Fantastic. That's a great way to.
And so, to clarify, the motion is that you're instructing the executive director of the C.I.C. to go back to the buyer with a counteroffer with the changes that have been approved with this motion, and then I'll report back to you the results of that counter.
And if he accepts that, then
Then
They're
then
instructing you to get-
I'm authorized to sign the
Yes.
the agreement.
Yep.
Okay.
And thank you I know that there was a lot of 11th hour scrambling around. Thank you for that.
That
And,
has been up till 5:15.
right. So,
That's the way a lot of these things happen.
that's right.
They
So,
were- the training center was far better than we could have asked, right? They made an offer with conditions. We said no to the conditions. they removed the conditions and increased their price.
Yes, we like that one.
Well, 102 went a little smoother also.
102, very smooth as well. And so this one, it just happens to be the one that took a little more time. And again, hopefully tomorrow we'll smooth everything out and we'll report back.
Sometimes great things take time.
Right.
Okay, I guess we can vote now?
Mr. Unger,
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Waller.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. Are there any motions at this point?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Any seconds?
Second.
So we have a motion to adjourn at 6:07 and a motion by Ms. Ulrich and a second by Mr. Unger. Any discussion? Hearing none, a roll call vote?
Mr. Unger.
Yes.
Ms. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Waller.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right.
Thank
that-
you.
Good night.